Hello out there, and today we are getting into part 2 of my complete collection video update, and today it's going to be focused on the Benchmades and the CRKTs and some other odds and ends. But first, let me tell you guys, the bad news is that there's no way that I'm going to be able to get everything else I own into this video. It's just too much, and so there will have to be a part 3. For the people who really like collection videos, I guess that's a very positive thing. But that video, the third video, whenever that one comes out, will probably be the most interesting of the entire group because it's going to be just odds and ends and strange things that you've never really seen on the channel before. There'll be a bunch of fixed blades. There'll be probably the slip joints will be in that video. Gerbers will be in that video, believe it or not. So that one might be interesting just to check out for curiosity reasons. But today, we're going to go through, like I said, starting with the Benchmades and then the CRKTs and anything else I have time to get to today. And starting with what's in front of you, we have the Benchmade Proper, and this knife has sort of been the mascot for the channel for me because it was a gift from my buddy Konstantinos, and he had my channel name, as you can see, laser etched on there. So it's just a beautiful piece. This knife actually is what turned me on to slip joints because I wanted to carry this knife once I got it, and so I found a way to just really just incorporate carrying a backup knife, and it became a slip joint, and that sort of pushed me into GECs and stuff. So this knife has done a whole lot for my collection and my mentality. I also got this custom sheath from Gromit's Leatherworks. So if you want to check out Gromit's, those guys are super cool over there. Really good prices. I think this was like 20 bucks and customized it and all that stuff for free. So pretty neat there. All right, next, let's get into the 350, which I just picked up at Blade Show, and also the 535 Bugout. So these are both sort of based off of the same design. The Bugout here is one of the early Rogue Blade Works sets of scales on this one, and then it has Blades We Love hardware. So this one is a little bit customized. The only Bugout I have, the only one I really need, can't really say enough about this knife. There's not much that I would change if I were going to to do anything to this knife. It is pretty close to perfect for me. The next one is a sentimental one because this 300 Butch Ball Axis Flipper is a knife that I actually bought for myself the day that I got engaged. So, you know, guys don't wear engagement rings, so I decided I needed something nice as well. And so, yeah, this was my present to commemorate that day. So this one stays in the collection. It's actually a pretty well-made knife. It's just not a design that's for everybody. So, yeah, the first, I think, Axis Lock manual flipper, though. The next one was a gift from my buddy Zach over at Zach Stuff, and this is the Super Freak from late last year. So yeah, he actually gifted me this beautiful, beautiful knife. And this is the knife that when people have like something bad to say about Benchmade, this is the one I refer them to because this knife shows that they are still on point and making excellent, excellent knives. This knife right here is about as good as it gets and one of the best Benchmades I've really ever handled. And it's stupid smooth. Next, guys, I'm not going to show you all the mini grips here. I did a complete mini grip collection update a few weeks ago. I will put in a picture of all of them, and then I'll link to that video down below, but that is its own video. There's, I think, 12 mini griptillions. Here's a couple of them right here. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about and not enough time for all of those. So definitely check out that video if you haven't already and you're interested in the mini grips. Let's get into a couple red class beater knives. So here is the Mini Pika. This is the 440C version. I think they eventually started making it in 8CR. And then this one is the Mini Ambush, which was serrated at one point and really beat up, and I had to have it like sharpened down and and modified in order to make it work. And now you can see it's just got a beautiful edge on it. A little recurve too. It cuts. It's ugly, but it cuts. Has a really neat locking mechanism. Sort of like a precursor to an Axis lock with that kind of release. So there are those. I do have a 707 sequel. People talk to me about this knife all the time, and yeah, sorry for the lighting, but people talk to me about this knife a lot, asking me if I would want one, if I like it, and I never really show this knife off because I'm just sort of in repair with it. So the scales are all beat up right here. You can see the finish on the blade is messed up, and I want to do a mod on it, but I need new scales, and I haven't been able to find anyone to make them, or anyone who does make 707 scales. So it's sort of just sitting around. All right, next, the mini Presidios. So I have the mini Presidio Ultra and the mini Presidio 2. I think I have like a comparison video about these as well. The Ultra in 440C was just a great knife. But the upgraded, newer version in S30V for this year is even better. This is an excellent knife. And it's part of the black class, but it doesn't really need to be. I mean, it's just a good EDC. So, really like the Presidio line. And yeah, even though I was one of the naysayers when they came out with the newer version, I've definitely been converted. Alright, more Benchmades. Let's do all of the Osbornes. So right here we have the 930. This is the Guerra. Probably still my favorite Benchmade model, just because it doesn't get enough credit and I like to root for the underdogs. But this polished blue and black G10 is excellent. And yeah, there's just some design characteristics to this knife that just make it stand out from other Benchmades. And so I really appreciate that. So again, this is the 930. I don't have an actual 940, but I do have the 943, which I decided is going to be like my 940/943 platform keeper. So this one is all blacked out, S30V in this. S30V on that Guerra as well, the 930. Just a beauty. It's got some wear, but it's just going to get more. Then we have the 960. This 960, honestly guys, it's a beautiful knife. It's one of the best looking Benchmade designs I've ever seen, but the aluminum is slick. This is not the best user knife out there. It's a really good gents piece. It's just beautifully executed. There's so many different versions with so many different like types of inlays here. But I mean the G10 here to the aluminum is seamless. It's just excellent. This is a limited edition, 28 out of 50. And I've talked about all the limited editions for this design before, but what was cool about it was I think there's like 10 or 12 different variations that all have like very low numbered runs, which instead of doing like a 500, 600, 1,000, you know, they just gave a lot more variations. So yeah, there are some really neat collections out there with like 15 different versions of this knife, I think. So, and we have another limited edition. This one is the 770, and this was a knife that I had once before, but I was dumb enough to sell, and just recently I picked it back up again. Super glad that I did. This is the green and black G10 limited edition. The standard version came with carbon fiber scales and was in 154 cm. This one is in D2. Has that one screw pocket clip and this backspacer, which is super neat. All right, we're getting close to the end of the Benchmades. Last Osborne. So this one is the 672. I believe it's the Apparition Optimizer. Optimizer in that this one you can adjust between manual and assisted. So this is assisted opening. It really flies open well. The G10 on this is like an older style of G10 where it's like sort of glossy and high traction at the same time. Not really the best G10. They've moved away from doing stuff like this in the in the present day. But yeah, if I can get this focused, if you remove this screw, then that whole bar inside the handle comes out, and so this can become a manual knife, and you can do it in about like 30 seconds. So I have a video about that, I think. The D10 when it's manual sort of stinks, and that's why I went back to assisted. But yeah, oh, another really neat backspacer. Benchmade, old school Benchmade, killing it with with some fancy backspacers. All right. I've got one knife that is in HK, made by Benchmade. This is a gift from a viewer. I've been meaning to do a special video just about this knife because it is so, not rare, but it's just unique. It's just a different kind of thing. A titanium frame lock. This is USA made. I believe this is called the Conspiracy folder. You can see it has like a gun kind of grip. I mean, it is just an absolute tank of a knife. And yeah, not necessarily the most practical, but it cuts. It's super sharp, and it's actually like very, very smooth. So let me see if I can, yeah, get it to drop. All right, and then the last couple Benchmades are the Alicia Witches. So this one right here is the 907, the mini striker, the mini nitrous striker in D2. So this one is assisted opening as well. Got this one for a really good deal and had to clean it up and polish it up, but it's a good little user, but I don't really use it. And then here, and I don't actually remember the number of this one, but this is the mini Darkstar. First production, a really low number first production, number 8 out of 1,000. ATS 34, liner lock, titanium liner lock too, so we have that. And then the last Alicia Witts and the final Benchmade actually is the Aries. The 730 Aries. This one is in 154 cm. The Aries, for those of you who don't know, and I'm actually digging around right now trying to find another one. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Aries is like my be-all, end-all Benchmade model. So at one point I bought this bottom one here. This is the 732 for like $70 just because I wanted the model so bad. And you can see this one is just destroyed. There's nothing I can do with this blade, really, that's not going to make it absolutely tiny. And yeah, it's just not going to be able to be saved. But everything else on the knife, at least like the structure here, is excellent. So if I could just find an old blade, but even those would be expensive. I mean, this is just a very sought-after model. And so I was able to get some new old stock, thanks to actually Stasa23 directed me to this one. And you can actually see some discoloration, so I think this knife was maybe stored in a case or in the sun, and some of the color just got like sapped out of it. So it is a pretty good conversation piece because it is essentially brand new, but it does have a little bit of extra character to it. But yeah, if I could collect any like line, any model and get every variation of it, it would definitely be this one, but man, that would cost a lot of coin. All right, guys, we're at 13 minutes and 20 seconds, and we haven't even started. The CRKTs. So, all right, let's do it. We're gonna start actually with Alicia Witts. So I have one Alicia Witts CRKT, continuing with Alan Alicia Witts, and this is probably one of the neatest knives in my collection. This is the Scarab. I got this at Blade Show 2018. It has like bowling ball material for the handles here. I believe it's AUS 8 blade steel. Just an assisted opening as well. Just a lot of design characteristics that you don't see from CRKT, and finishing that is on a level that is sort of beyond a lot of what they're doing now. You know, they don't make knives that are this like, I guess, ornamental and complicated anymore. So, yeah, it's a beauty. It is a beauty, but it's discontinued. All right, next, let's get into all of the Pilars. There's really not many. There's 2 large Pilars. Honestly, guys, getting a little bit of having a little bit of issues with these. Just the lock bar tension just isn't good on them. The same way that the regular Pilar was just very inconsistent for me. I've probably had 20 regular Pilars, and a number of them just don't have that nice like sound lockup up and down. And so I'm working on these, trying to figure out what I can do to fix them. As far as regular Pilars go, though, oh, and by the way, this is like the 8CR version here, and this is the all black D2. As far as regular Pilars go, I think I have two right now. They're both sort of in the middle of being modded. So this one is actually the S35 VN Blade, the Blade HQ exclusive. So I'm working on that mod soon. And a lot of these CRKTs will be modded. Let's get into an oddball though. Here is the Hawk DOG, a Grant and Gavin Hawk design. This one has just a super unique locking mechanism, similar to the bolt action lock that Spyderco uses on the Mannix. But yeah, it's pretty smooth. Just has a number of unique characteristics. Not the most pocket-friendly knife because you can see it's so chunky and thick down here at the bottom. But it is very good in the hand. Has a pretty traditional kind of blade shape as well. So yeah, just a classic actually. And what else? Here is a Vizzle. The Vizzle was one that I started to mod, and then the mod just got messed up at the end. It was finished, and then I did something to basically ruin the ano on it, and so I had to do a bunch of like secondary mods to try to save it. And if this one were just bronze with the high polish on the blade, man, this would have been pretty. Didn't quite work out that way, but I really like this model. It's another Voxness design. Here's another mod. This one was done by my buddy Harbormaster Up. We did an exchange of these mini jettisons back in the day. And I modded one for him, and he modded one for me. And at the time, I was like, man, I'm like been doing a lot of pretty cool mods. I'm gonna like blow his socks off and send him something really neat. And I thought I did a pretty decent job. And then I get this in the mail, and I was just blown away. He absolutely crushed it. I mean, the types of colors that he was able to get with just heat, and then the orange peel. And I mean, look at this. Just excellent work by him. So this is a display case knife. I don't really carry this. It's just a beauty. So thanks again to him for being part of that. Here is the Glide Lock 2. I've shown this one on the channel a couple times. Really unique in that it's sort of a bolster lock, I guess if that's what you'd call it, where you use the bolster, swing it around, close it. No clip on this knife. Just beautiful gents piece. Letter opener. But yeah, it's fun to put this in someone's hands and be like, open the knife, and they can't figure it out. But that's how you do it. Here is the Windage, which is a Ruger co-branded knife. Obviously, this one is modded very heavily. So I did a lot of stuff to this, gave a thumb depression, enlarged the choil, a lot of color. One thing I'll say real briefly about trying to anodize stainless steel, a lot of people have told me in videos, oh, you can't do it, it doesn't work. Well, it works, but if you go beyond bronze, it's not stable. And so this right here was actually like purple and blue at one point, and it just does not hold. It doesn't hold like with any kind of contact, but it also just over time, I think air, other stuff, you just lose the pop. And it's not like something where you can just like wipe it down and it starts to pop again. That's not how it is. So yeah, trying to go beyond like bronze with stainless steel is a very risky endeavor. All right, so that's the first row of CRKTs. Let me just show you real quick what we've got to do in like the next 5 minutes. All right, so we're going to try to push to all of this stuff real quick, guys, and get into it. So, all right, next, we have one of the best CRKTs that I've ever had. This is the Snap-on Relay, a Ken Onion design. They never made an actual just CRKT version of it. This knife just has excellent handle material, really good and grippy, good user knife. Hard to find these because, yeah, they just never got bought. So yeah, you can, I think, still buy them from Snap-on. Got another knife that is a gift from my buddy Zach. This is the self-sharpening CRKT Edgy. And this is the Edgy 1. This one is a slip joint. I love a good slip joint with a clip. There aren't enough of them in the world. So it's really cool to have this knife. Again, another classic CRKT that Zach was kind enough to gift me with. I think it was the first knife that he ever sent me. And if you're not the one who sent me this knife, Zach, let me know. I'm pretty sure it was you, though. But the Edgy 2, which came out later, was a lockback and was maybe a bit of a nicer design, but it wasn't executed as well as this. They shouldn't have made it a locking knife. So this knife, it's called the Edgy because, yeah, there is a sharpening mechanism, a stone in there, that when you close the knife, it actually sharpens the edge. So it isn't going to do a great sharpening job. You still will have to, like, eventually sharpen the knife yourself, but it can keep a functional knife, at least in your pocket, even after use. All right, now let's get into the squids. So at this point, what is it? Do I have 4 or 5? I think I have 5 squids. My wife has one, which you won't see in this video. So she has just a standard satin squid, or stonewash squid, excuse me, that is basically her EDC. What I've got here is one that was modified by a viewer and sent to me, and just a really great mod. You know, nothing really too fancy, just a little bit of color, just adjusting the finish, and then a beautiful, like, orange, a deep burnt orange backspacer. So, yeah, you crush it on this one. Nice part of the collection to have something like this. The other squids that I have, here's the copper one. I think this one is like 12C27 instead of the 8CR. And let's see. Here's the first G10 one. Really like the G10 squid. And then we've got the 2 carbon fiber limited edition ones from Blade HQ. We'll talk about this one first. This one I think is 12C27. It's stainless steel frame lock. The only one that was actually titanium was the first one they did, which is the last one that I have here. And quick story about this knife. This is number 3 out of 500, and that's just the one I got when I ordered it from Blade HQ, believe it or not. So I got this knife. I ended up moving on from it, and then literally it went to 4 different owners, I think, and then I finally saw it for sale and bought it back. So this is the actual knife that I used to own, and it's mine again. So, yeah. Really odd to get number 3, though, when you just order something like that. All right, now we've got the Willowhua. And the Willowhua is, yeah, just one of my favorite knives from last year. Great stainless steel frame lock, excellent action. Maybe a little bit on the hefty side, but as far as like budget knives from CRKT, it's a good one. I wish they did more just like it. Another one that I wish they did more just like is the Hootenanny Ken Onion design, another budget knife. This is just one of the best Ken Onions that I've ever had, and that is saying a whole lot. And yeah, it's got that upswept blade, but it's not too like Persian-y, so it's still for me very functional. Excellent piece, great part of the collection. All right, and we have got another onion right here, and this is the Swindle, another gift from my wife. So this is a sentimental favorite. 2 different versions of this knife. This one has the ridges, the ridge stainless steel, and like 14C28N, I think. The other version had 8CR. So, but yeah, just a very sleek kind of carry. So I'm digging that. Guys, we're not going to make it under 25 minutes. I apologize right now. All right, so the next 2 are modded knives from Steve Jernigan. I talked about him in the last collection video. This one is a CRKT VASP, which stands for Verify, Advance, Secure, Proceed, I think. And yeah, the first acid etch I ever did, it's not pretty, but man, I had so much fun doing it. So I modified this knife, and then eventually, oh man, spray painted the backspacer. But then eventually, I got another one, and sort of took the VASP full circle, and this is one of my favorite mods that I've ever done. Love the way this one came out. I love the colors. I love the polish. Didn't do anything too complicated, but I just really made it my own, and yeah, love this knife. Really, really love this knife. So we're going to finish with the Ripples. So I've got 3 more before that, actually 4 more before that. Here is the Premonition. Premonition is a classic McGinnis design. Also designed the Tuition, a few others for CRKT back in the day. Love McGinnis designs. I would love to get my hands on one of his like mid-techs or a custom one day, but as it is, this is the closest I can get. And yeah, this discontinued one is it's a beauty. Arguably the single best CRKT that I've ever come across is the Flavio Icoma Sampe. This knife, and I've talked about it before, it looks more high-end than it is. It doesn't look like a budget knife. It doesn't actuate like a budget knife. It feels like something a lot fancier than it really is. And it does have aluminum handle scales, so it's not just like a plastic, but just the machining done and the way that they executed the design. I'm just really impressed with it. And it's a great knife to use too and carry, so can't really complain about that. The next is one of my wife's. So this is the Posada. I told you she also has the Squid. So that's her everyday carry. This one, the Posada, just another really good budget one from them. All I'm really looking for with a budget knife like this is a good looking design and something that locks up. And it's both. So 15 bucks, like, yeah, really can't complain about that. Next we have the Coleco Caligo. Still don't know what to say, but this one is a user. One of my top few knives of 2018. I mean, if they keep making knives like this, then they're always going to have customers. Because this one is, yeah, it's just awesome. Just a great EDC, TJ Schwartz design. They do have a D2 version. If they would have made the D2 version, the Blade HQ version, with like a different color configuration, I might have picked it up, but it looks exactly the same as this, just with different steel, so I didn't really see the point. And now we're going to finish up, guys. Man, I cannot believe it's taken this long. No time for any odds and ends today. We're going to finish up with the Ripples. There's a lot of different Ripple variations out there in the world, and I've got a bunch of them. Ripple is, I think, the first Ken Onion design with CRKT. Arguably the best. So this one is a stainless steel version. Super thin frame lock. Yeah, this one is probably the best of the bunch, but it's hard to say that because all of the Ripples are great. But you can just see how slim this knife is. Great gents carry. Great manufacturing from CRKT. Then there is a smaller version of that stainless steel frame lock. And I also have a relatively recent video just about the entire Ripple line, so you can check that out as well. But here are the 8CR, like aluminum versions, which are no slouches at all either. The clips are a little bit weird, I will admit that. And then there are Snap-on exclusive carbon fiber ones, which are like variations of this liner lock version. And so here is the satin carbon fiber one, and then also the coated and serrated. All right, guys, so that is it. That are all the Benchmades, the CRKTs. We're not doing anything else today, so everything else will make for a fun third video. There's going to be a lot. My most expensive knives and my absolute dirt cheapest will be in part 3, so stay tuned for that. If you are watching right now, guys, you're awesome. I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Super cool. And thanks for the support. But yeah, any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, you know where to reach me, guys. Have a good one and take care.